Do you guys want to? We have about I think we're at the hour mark, close to it. Do you guys want to talk about AD and Clay, or do you guys want to talk about Jeremy and Laura Sarah?
I
We
don't
can
care about Jeremy and Lawson. Let's talk about AD and Clay, red flag ass. Let's talk about
wait. Can I say something real quick? Can we just give a shout out to the mothers of this season because they were the real ones? AD's mom, Clay's mom, Jeremy's mom. Putting people in place and letting them know, why are you acting this way? Why are you doing this? You don't got to be how things are making you seem. Those were the real MVPs of the season. That's all I got to say.
And shout out Clay's dad for being a real.
I was like, when I met Clay's dad, I'm like, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. The way
Clay's dad looks like the dude that's just his son's friend. Like you never fathered this man at all, and it shows.
Facts.
He's just
so cool dude. Because who in their right mind takes their son on infidelity trips to cheat on their wife?
That's crazy.
That's wild.
That's crazy work. So, shout out to them for AD and Clay. So here's my opinions on AD and Clay. If my girlfriend here was here, she would be like, she's team AD. AD could do no wrong in her opinion. But I feel like AD just wanted to marry somebody. She didn't give it she wanted to have the best person possible, but in the pods, it just seemed like she wanted to get married. Like she was going to the experiment to find the right guy, but she was so bent on I'm going to find him and I'm going to marry somebody, the best option possible, not like true love. Like the fact that Matthew was an option during the pods and then post pods just kind of confirms that to me of she just wants to get married, and that's my thought about it. She was fantastic. She did her best to stick to her man and try to motivate Clay to marry her and all this other stuff, but she just wanted to get married. Clay, I don't know, that man from the pods. I was like, this dude is weird. But what's y'all's thoughts about the game?
Well, to Ziana's thing of the AD's a pick me, I don't think you can be a pick me if you're already picked. So there's a difference in trying to make your relationship work and showing someone that you're there for them versus being a pick me to that person. So I don't think AD was a pick me at all. Same with Chelsea. I don't think she was a pick me either. They were already picked. But I think they were trying to make their relationships work any way that they can. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't know what a pick me is. I guess it's like a new terminology. I don't know what that means.
We need to define that because I understand what you're saying, Jasmine, and I agree. Like there's a side to we already picked for this, we're in this together, let's try to make this work. But for me, the reason why I call them pick me's is because I have such high expectations for them. I'm like, you guys are both beautiful, smart women. Like even Jess said it. She was like, it was hard watching Chelsea back because she was like, she saw her as, or was it AD? I think it was AD who said it, but she was like, she saw Chelsea as such a strong woman that's like, you can't just let a man like toy with your emotions like that. And I feel like with AD specifically, I love her to death. She's awesome. She has a great personality. I just feel like she continually ignored red flags and just like, not just small red flags, huge red flags, just because she wanted to make this work. Like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to make this work. If a man is telling you he's going to cheat on you, there's no this work. Like, we need to talk about this. And I know she mentioned, like, in an interview that she was checking in with Clay at every step and was like, hey, I'm ready to leave. Like, if you're ready to, like, let this go, I'm ready to walk away. Like, we don't have to get married. Like, we can just, but she was still willing to, I feel like Clay was still talking her into this and be like, oh, yeah, we can still make this work just because he wanted his TV moment and he planned this whole thing. He's a mastermind. Clay, shout out to you. You deserve Clay, master production. He planned this whole thing out. He was like, I'm going to make her get to the altar. And once we get there, I'm going to say no. It's going to be dramatic. I'm going to be star of the show. Kudos to you, Clay. You got your 2 cents. But
Yeah.
back to AD specifically, let me just wrap up my thoughts on her. I feel like she continued to ignore huge red flags, not just little red flags, to try to make this work. But there were things that were fundamental to marriage. Like if a man is, talking about cheating on you, infidelity, and all these other things, like he keeps saying, if a man keeps saying you're too good for me, like that's a sign. You need to let that man go because he's just gonna cause you so much turmoil and heartache. Like when you're getting married to someone, that's supposed to be like relatively a smooth journey. Like it's not easy, but like it's not supposed to be so hard. And I just feel like it was so hard, and she was gripping onto this idea she had of AD as this successful black man, and it's gonna be black love. I love that. We all love that. But at the end of the day, he was a walking red flag. And I have so much high expectations for her that I'm like, girl, you deserve better than to settle for this man. You deserve better. So that's why I called her a pick me, because I feel like she wanted to be picked so bad. She was willing to ignore red flags. And that's my definition of a pick me, not necessarily like he was already picked. Like she knew she was beautiful. Okay, whatever. But she was willing to ignore those things to be picked. That's why I called her a pick me. But
she knew what she was getting into, because she's even said in interviews, I knew those things that Clay was doing. And it just looks like, because production, that's what they do. It makes it seem like she even said it made it just seem like I was blindly following him and not thinking about anything that he was doing. She said, I knew that. And like you said, she did go and say, hey, I'm ready to walk away if you're ready to walk away. But he was like, no, I want to make this work with you. I want to make this with you. I want to be with you. So she's like, okay, well, I can still leave at any time. She knew what she wanted to do. She knew that she could leave, but he was still willing to make it work too.
Mm.
So that's what we also have to consider too, it's not all on AD, because Clay was still in her face saying, no, I still want to make this work. I know this is hard. I know I'm saying this. And she was telling him, you don't have to be like your dad. You can be better than your dad. You don't have to cheat, and you don't have to do all this stuff, hoping that maybe it would get into his head. But it is what it is. I don't think she's a pick me because of that. I think Clay was more on the toxic side. She didn't ignore the red flags. She did see them. It's just how everything made it, production made it seem. But Clay didn't want to be married, because he even said on there, people get married off of this thing, like from the beginning.
That man is delusional. Like that man, I'm like, we need to have a psychoanalysis on that man. And that man literally discredited all black men don't cheat allegation. He threw it out the window. He discredited all y'all black men don't cheat. I'm sorry, Clay literally put that in a dumpster, and it's like discredited. Like your whole organization is done single-handedly by Clay and his father. But at the end of the day,
wait, I think Clay's father is actually Dominican, so he doesn't qualify. For black men still don't cheat. But anyways, so I think AD is going to make a great wife to somebody, beautiful girl. But by your definition, Z, if that's what a pick me means, I agree. But I don't think that's what everybody thinks a pick me means. I've heard the terminology before, but I don't know what it means. But like I said, when I talked about AD, I think she was willing to marry somebody. She wanted to get married. Like no matter what, she wanted to get married. And I know she said in the interviews, like, Clay was assuring her or whatever, she wanted to get married. I think that was her thing. Clay, toxic, didn't know. He didn't like that was hilarious to me. Like when he said, people get married. It's like, what do you mean? Do you know? Like this is what the show's about. You said you binge watched the show before going on. You saw people get married. Like, and it's funny. She's like, maybe we don't have to get married. We can work. In his mind, I guess he was thinking, we don't have to get married. We can still date after the show. I think that's in his mind. That was it. And he wasn't willing to marry her in the 8 weeks. But it's like, no, bro, like this is the show. This is the experiment. This is what you signed up for. If you're going to be on a show, choose to get married. Don't go in thinking like, oh, we can continue to date. He wanted to find a girl to potentially marry, but he can date. She was going in for marriage. And so that's like Clay's situation is hilarious to me. But I don't. It was weird to me, like all the things he did, the soup situation where he's like slurping the soup, and like his conversations, they never like led anywhere. I feel like he was just talking, but there was nothing like up here. Like when he told, like when I found out, they said it in the pods, but it really didn't click with me until like he was working. He's an entrepreneur with multiple businesses. I was like, this guy has multiple businesses. And he has bread. He had a house, a nice house, multiple cars. Like I was like, bro, this dude has bread. This guy, like he gave belief in me. Like, I could build any type of business I want to. If this guy can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, I could do something. Because like he just there was not something was missing up here, in my opinion. At the reunion, he seemed more put together. He was very like
Well,
better. But during the show, it just seemed like he would just say anything, and then AD would say something, and he's like, "Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense."
that's because at that point, by the reunion, he had already started going to therapy. What I think should have happened is he knew he needed to go to therapy after the pods. AD at that point should have said, "Well, let's go to therapy together," because then I think that something would have probably changed in him and been like, "Okay, well, I can actually marry this girl," because now we're going to start talking about things that need to be brought out and things that need to be changed.
I feel like she deserves way better. Like, she's not here to fix him. She's not his mom. Like, it was such a red flag when.
Does she though? She dated Matthew, right? She dated Matthew after the show. Does she deserve? That man's a serial killer. Does he deserve?
Let me just state for the record, I actually like Matthew. Oh, stones. I like Matthew. I'm sorry, tomatoes, throw it at me. I feel like he's odd. He's very odd.
I think he's on the spectrum.
He's on the spectrum. I feel like he's on the spectrum. And
America is going to see this. What are you talking about, dude? Matthew's so weird. I think Z just think he's attractive. That's fine. He's a very big white dude. Corporate accountant look, fine. If you want to call him attractive, sure. But the man was weird.
It's not just his. I mean, he's the way he acts, and he's so like blunt and very like he's weird. But he did say that he didn't like walk out.
He was like he alone by himself. People didn't even know he was fucking there. Like, no, it was weird.
No, he was walking out on girls. Like, girls would be in the middle of a conversation, and he would literally just walk out the room.
Weird.
Matthew literally gave
that was rude.
No F's, bro.
Like when Clay was like Matthew, that dude. I was like, of course he said that. Of course he did.
Well, I think Matthew is hilarious, honestly. Like I feel like he's on the spectrum, and he's weird. He does give serial killer vibes, but I don't think he's as like just completely horrible as people paint him out to be. If not, why did he make it on the show? They need to vet people more, honestly, because like apparently they don't vet people. They're just like, oh, if you look good or whatever, if you can meet the vibe of the show, they'll let you in. But they need to actually do background checks. They need to vet people a lot for this show, because like Matthew definitely gave serial killer vibes, but I like him as a character. I think his performance was hilarious, and he had a little spice.
They need more. If this show is going to be Love is Blind, they need more unattractive people, in my opinion. They need, because every single person that goes in this show, that they've shown at least, is attractive. Like handsome dudes, beautiful women. Like Chelsea's not the most gorgeous girl, but she's still a pretty girl. Like when you saw Chelsea's friends, I was like, of course she thinks she's Megan Fox, because compared to her fucking friends, she looks way better than her friends.
Oh, no.
So I get that's why I call you Megan Fox, because you look years beyond what your friends look like. You know what I mean? So like give me some unattractive people on this show, like normal looking human beings.
I feel like they were pretty normal. I don't think that there's a lot of like really unattractive when you really think.
Give me somebody that's fat. Like the fact that they show Kenneth's rolls in the bed, I was like, there we go, big boy. They show like he rolled over and his shirt was off and he had his rolls. I was like, there we go, my boy gets some airtime. Kenneth, I was anyways. That's what, like, give me more of that. Like bigger women, bigger dudes. Let's get a variety. You can still have attractive people. Don't get me wrong, because AD was beautiful. Jess was beautiful. Like, there's people in the show that were gorgeous, but like, give me more of like they're normal looking people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I could see that.
Matt, he's coming out with something. He got all these people tagged. talking about his story is going to be told. He tagged Kim Kardashian.
Justice for Matthew.
He is.
Nah.
I like Matthew. I don't care. I feel like he's very weird. I just like him. I don't know. And I can see why AD went on another date. I'm sorry. I can see why.
First of all, 2.5 dates. I'm pretty sure the other date was just sex. Honestly, that's the vibes I was getting from AD.
Dang. Let's talk about the sexualization of AD and the sexualization of Black women.
We can do that. No, we can do that in different vibe. I feel like she did it herself though, because
we can cut that short because she even told Clay, "I don't want to tell you what I look like because men always go off my looks."
Yeah, but then once she saw him, I feel like she was leading with her body a lot of the times, and
that's just who she is. That's why she didn't even want to go into that conversation.
She needs more deeper work because even when people were asking her, like, why did at the altar he was like, okay, body, and she was like, you see the material, like people were like, why don't you see how that is not appropriate, like just for like a wedding, like this is. It was just too much on her body as opposed to who she is as a person. And this is another problem I have with Clay specifically, because when he was asked to describe why he loved AD, everything he was saying was, she makes me feel good. She makes me feel this. She makes me feel seen. Obviously, she's sexy, beautiful, whatever. But he never talked about characteristics of AD as a person that makes her a whole person. Like, what makes AD? Like, why do you love her for who she is? It was just more of what she did for him or her body, and that was very problematic in general. And that's why I have a problem with just the too much sexualization of AD, which, I mean, she kind of caused it partially, but at the end of the day, like, Clay, he's just really messed up. And the fact that he couldn't find words to describe why he loved AD just proved that he was faking everything from the beginning. He had an agenda, and he just came on here to be TikTok famous. And maybe now he's had work done. He's gone to therapy. I don't know. He was looking a little off at the reunion, like
blinking. Whose phone was that?
Stiff and blinking weirdly. I was like, I'm gonna pray for you, Clay. But
so just to give my boy, not my boy, Clay's not my boy. But just to give him a little bit of a pass, the first thing he talks about after the pods is he sees they're in the pool. I think this was like a cut afterwards, but they're in the pool, and obviously he sees AD in her body, and he's like she's very beautiful, but I don't want to sexualize her, over sexualize her. So I will give him credit because he did say that. He's like, I want to get to know her for her, and not just her body. She's more than just her body. I don't want to over sexualize. So he did. Just to give him some little bit of credit, he did say that. Now, if you don't feel like he did that, that's fine. I'm not trying to defend Clay, but I do want to point that out as well.
And why can't she look good for her man? Like, that's just what she wants.
She can. But it's just, I don't know.
I do agree in society, and just touch on what you said, there is a over sexualization of Black women, but I also think that society also sees the Black woman as the height of what to look like, because you see a lot of celebrities with the big butts. To mimic that, they get BBL, things like that. So that's kind of been like that. But that's also why I love this show, and that's what makes me mad, because I also think that Jess would have been just as sexualized, in my opinion, if she had more airtime, but she didn't. But that's also been my complaint about the show, because everybody loves what Jess said to Jimmy about like the EpiPen, which it was online. I get that, but it was like the show is not about that. So why is he going to make why is Jimmy going to faint when you see it? It's because she knows she looks good, right? And so it's like everybody's like, yes, Jimmy's going to hate the fact that he chose Chelsea because Jess is so beautiful, and she is very beautiful. But that's not what the show is about, right? So that I agree with what you're saying. There's definitely a sexualization, and that's why I also want like normal looking people and not people that look like they are already celebrities. Like Jess fits. Everybody called her a Kardashian because of the way her build is, right? Same thing for AD's beautiful woman. Now there's a lot of complaints about AD's hair and her eyelashes and her makeup.
But
but there's even my girlfriend was like, "AD, put some makeup on
It was
sometimes."
crazy, but
So, can we just let Black women be natural? Now
But-
the eyelashes, that was too much.
Yeah.
But her without her makeup,
she's beautiful, but women, y'all do y'all own thing. Anyways, I'm not the person commenting on women's makeup or what they look like because I'm not trying to get roasted by women, especially not black women, especially on Twitter. Black women on Twitter.
AD
I wanna
is
give you
my
guys some time.
girl. She's the best person I've ever seen in all these seasons.
Okay.
I would be friends with her for sure. I want to be friends with her. She's so nice. She's so great. Like, I just think she was just honest and like open, and like she was like what this like show is about, like what you want in a person to like look and like hope and find love for. But I was just dead after that man said no. She looked at her family. She was like, "So we ready to go?"
No.
And I was like, my heart was broken for her. I was like,
Well, I was glad because she dodged a bullet with Clay. Anyway,
with Clay.
It was sad.
I agree, but I thought that he was gonna like. I had hope for him that he was gonna like figure out, be like, what I have in front of me is like golden. But he didn't, and he didn't wake up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He didn't wake up. It's hilarious.
I was gonna say yes because like AD just gave him all the support. Like he was feeling like if he was not feeling confident about something, like she had his back, and so it's almost like he could mess up something, and she was there to be like, "I got you. It's all right. We'll fix this." And
They could have run the world, y'all.
Yeah.
They could have had us all on like. They could have added trends. They could have made their own business. Like then they would have had the whole world on them because of like how good of like a couple they were like together. If they would have like continued, you know.
I thought Clay was weird. This is what I talked about earlier. I thought he was weird and airheaded. Like the fact that this man owned multiple businesses and like his house was nice. He just seemed like he would start talking and like in my mind it's like a hamster's running on this wheel and it would just stop. And I'm like, what is this man talking about right now? Like, he just sounds weird. And then when AD would talk, he would affirm what she's saying. He was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like, Clay, what the hell are you saying right now, bro? Like, he was just weird to me. I don't know. Clay was weird. As much as people love Clay, he was weird. In my opinion.
Like, I think he's probably putting up a facade. Like he was trying to portray a good person, and like his brain probably wasn't thinking as fast as like his mind could like say something. That's probably why.
I don't know. But he was like, I was like, this dude he's a account executive. He owns multiple businesses and is successful. This guy. Crazy.
Yeah.
They should have had his parents on the reunion. That's all I'm gonna say about them too. I wanted to see what happened with them. With their parents,
out there, like they put their family business out there. It was like,
Oh yeah.
like
they really did.
I don't really think we'd be knowing all this, but it's okay.
and the mom saying that she didn't know any of this stuff until she watched everything. That's crazy.
She didn't
Yeah.
know they played it.
Well,
He did-
some things for sure.
Yeah, she didn't know that he was taking her, or Clay's dad was taking him with him.
Yeah.
You know what's weird though about the situation is what I didn't find like. This is what I found weird when she met AD the first time, and then she was like, I was married for 24 years. It's like that nigga cheated on you though. Like what? Like how are you gonna talk like you have this experience? I get it. You're married. You with yourself, but like it was just weird for me. Of like, oh yeah, I had 24 years worth of experience, and I'm like, but was it successful? I don't know.
On her side, yeah. Like
No, I don't think so though, because I don't know. Maybe he just cheats and he's a cheater.
You
But,
can
like,
be
what-
a perfect person, do everything for your person, and that could probably still not be enough for the person. They still need to do other things. So it's like
Gotcha.
in your side, you're like, hey, I'm like, if you're a woman, I don't know, you're doing like the gender roles per se. Like, I feed you, the house is always clean, I take care of the kids, and at the end, he's still going on a business trip or whatever, and still messing around. So it's like, from her side, she's doing everything right, but it's still not enough for the man.
And that makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. But I'm just saying to lead with like I was married for 24 years. Maybe say I was a great wife for 24 years. I don't know. Maybe just it might be the semantics of it that I'm just like stuck with. Because like to say I was married for 24 years means that there was a successful marriage, but the end result was you got cheated on. You know, like that's in my mind, it's not a successful marriage.
But is that
So why? It's not. But I just don't want to like.
I see what you're saying.
If you're an expert in your field, right? You would say I've been doing this career for 10 plus years. Here's my success. She said, I can give you advice because I was married for 24 years, but it didn't end in success. So that's what I'm thrown off of. Like, how can you use that as the example? Like, be like me, I'm the example, but then it wasn't successful. That's what throws me off. And that might be my own thing and the semantics of it.
I think so.
But that's it was just weird to me. So
It's just that she speaks from experience, and like I said, it's just the fact that if her husband would have not messed up and cheated or do all that stuff, it would have been a success. But it's not on her that it wasn't successful.
Yep.
So that's why I feel like she's like, I can give you the roadmap because this is what I did to fulfill what I was supposed to do as a wife, as a mom, and all this stuff. But if you find the right man, it will lead to a success. But since I met a man that cheated on me, and no matter what I did, it wasn't enough for him, because of him, it wasn't successful. So it's like for her, she did everything right, successful, but unfortunately, the guy messed up. And if he would have done his part of not cheating and stay committed to his wife, that would have been like what you say, a successful marriage. So
gotcha.
I think she's got a lot to say, and if she were to like say stuff to Adriana, I'd be like I would like that would be a good person to hear from, I think, because of that type of woman she was and committed she was to that relationship and the marriage.
Gotcha.
And so
I think she's just talking about like the beginning stages of like marriage, because like I feel like all married couples kind of go through similar things in the beginning, at least like the first few years, and then like after that you have your own battles and stuff. But, yeah.
Gotcha.
Bless her heart, she's the greatest. I thought they were
really liked
great.
her,
She was really great, and 80s mom too.